Celebrations. They offer the perfect opportunity to rejoice and reflect. They help us mark the triumphs and trials that line the road traveled and ponder the road ahead. As Girl Scouts of USA celebrates its 100th anniversary, women and girls all over the USA have much to be proud of, especially considering that at the start of the last 100 years we didn't even have the right to vote. Yes, that's right. 100 years ago, American women did not have the right to vote.
Wait, time out. Women couldn't vote 100 years ago? That's utterly shocking.
I know, right? By the way, what's up with the tiara?
It's a celebration, isn't it?
It most certainly is a celebration. We have made great strides in the past 100 years, but much remains to be done. Fortunately, we need not look too far for inspiration. It lies in our history. It lies in the watershed moments that changed us and we were never the same again.
It's been 100 years a long time.
Yes, it is. It was long before you and your parents or your grandparents were born.
Wow, that's a long time.
Yeah, it was, and women accomplished a lot during that time. We owe it to them and to ourselves to learn more about them. Are you ready?
Yes, I'm super excited.
Great. Are you comfy? Our trip down memory lane begins in the early 1900s, a period that witnessed two watershed moments in women's history. I've got something for the girls of Savannah and all of America and all the world, and we're going to start it tonight.
On March 12, 1912, Julia Gordon Low assembled 18 girls from Savannah, Georgia for a local Girl Scout meeting. Today, Girl Scouts of the United States of America has grown to more than 3 million girls and adults. In fact, more than 59 million women in the United States today are Girl Scout alumni.
The founding of Girl Scouts was really a watershed event for girls and eventually women, in that it was kind of a recognition and an understanding that girls were not given the same opportunities as boys, and that girls should have every opportunity and be able to be the best they can be. And I think that starting in 1912, those girls then went on to be women that were confident and that really made a difference. As you know, I mean, so many of the women in Congress, so many women business owners were Girl Scouts. And so I think that it was the very beginning of a realization that women could do anything. And that was before the women could vote. So it truly was a watershed moment in that it sort of started a whole revolution, if you will, of women empowerment.
We women of America tell you that America is not a democracy. 20 million women are denied the right to vote.
On March 3rd in 1913, a day before Woodrow Wilson's inauguration as president, Alice Paul took 5,000 women suffragists on a parade throughout Washington, D.C. to draw attention to women's voting rights.
The suffrage parade of 1913 was certainly a watershed moment for women's suffrage. Alice Paul had come over from Britain and she was raring to go. She came over with the intent of getting the movement going in America. She was very organized and she was very, from what I understand, extremely charming in getting people to join her cause. So she started the parade movement in 1912 to get it going, and the parade actually happened the day before the inauguration of Woodrow Wilson, which was strategically, of course, very smart in that there was a lot of people in Washington, D.C. at the time.
Sandra Adams, Kelly Io, Michelle Botman.
What are you doing?
I'm
I'm reading the names of the women who are currently serving in the U.S. Congress.
How long is the list?
There's nearly 100 names here.
Wow, that's impressive.
It is, considering before 1916 there were no women in Congress. But in 1916, Jeannette Rankin became the first woman to be elected in the U.S. Congress.
Who else is on the list?
Marsha Blackburn, Diane Black, Mary Bono Mack, Madeleine Z. Bordeaux, Barbara Boxer.
The election of Jeannette Rankin to Congress was a watershed moment for women because it was such a remarkable step for her. She was elected to Congress before women even had the right to vote, which is so amazing to me. She went to Congress and she spoke up for women who didn't even have the right to vote, and she spoke out about women's issues and was a voice for us when we really had such limited voices out there.
In 1920, American women's right to vote was codified in the 19th Amendment to the United States Constitution. They gained this right after a 72-year battle. Several generations of women's suffrage supporters lectured, wrote, marched, lobbied, and practiced civil disobedience to make this happen.
The 19th Amendment was a watershed moment for women because it gave women the right to vote, to be treated equally as a human being. Civil rights, human rights, equal rights is what this country is famous for, especially in our age. We expect to be treated equally. We expect to be able to vote and to make the decisions just like everybody else who is here on the planet. So for me, getting the right to vote means that women were no longer second-class citizens, but that we had proven that we are equal. And now it's a matter of empowering ourselves, making sure that women do go out and vote, that they do get involved in elections, that they do make the best decisions that are good for us, for our families, for our kids, for our grandkids, and we don't have to depend on anybody else to make that decision for us.
What are you doing?
I'm trying to fly, but I'm not getting very far.
Yes, I've noticed that. Do you want to fly when you're older? That's what Amelia Earhart did in 1932 when she was the first woman to fly solo across the Atlantic Ocean.
Flying a plane would be so much fun. I should get started right away. Watch out.
I have been a pilot, and a member of the Sacramento Valley 99s, which is an organization, international organization of women pilots that was started back in 1929 by Amelia Earhart. Over the years, it's been growing nationwide and worldwide. So there's probably a little over 5,000 members to this date worldwide. Amelia Earhart was an icon, and she got everything started. She was the first woman to cross the Atlantic Ocean and solo. Her last known flight was her attempt to go around the world. She decided to take a navigator with her. At first she wanted to do it solo, but she decided that maybe it would be a better idea that she hired a navigator to go along with her. Fred Noonan was his name, and they both went, started out in Oakland and to Hawaii, had some problems with the airplane in Hawaii, and was put on hold for a while. So after they fixed the airplane, did some maintenance to it, got it back flying again, they decided to start out from Hawaii and travel around the world going the opposite direction. They were supposed to end up on a little island called Howland Island to get the last remaining bit of fuel to make it the rest of the way. She never made that island. Her and Fred, the The last known transmissions were with the ship named Itasca, and she was probably maybe 100 miles from that destination to get fuel when she ran out of fuel and her airplane went down. Her and Fred Noonan perished. And that is actually a watershed moment in our history, because the attempt that was made by a woman is just amazing. She opened so many doors for women in aviation and women in other fields also, you know, that we could accomplish anything.
So what's it like being in high school?
Oh, high school's awesome. You get to drive and have a car and get a job.
A job? I want a job.
You're too young to have a job. You can still do fun kid things, and you don't want to work in a factory all day long.
No, I don't think that'd be fun.
Well, thanks to a woman named Frances Perkins, you don't have to.
Yay, in fact, I'm gonna update my Facebook status from It's Complicated to Love Life.
It's complicated, really?
In 1933, Frances Perkins became the first woman to serve in a presidential cabinet when she became the Secretary of Labor. 2 years later, she was the principal architect of the Social Security Act of 1935 and was central to establishing federal aid for the unemployed, minimum wage, maximum work week, and aid to families with dependent children.
The Social Security Act was a watershed moment in the history of women because it, along with the passage of the Fair Labor Standards Act shortly after, was the first time that those kinds of protections were provided. And they provided protections for men, women, and children, which left no group unprotected.
In 1941, the United States entered World War II. As more and more men left for the service and as demand for war equipment grew, U.S. employers were forced to hire women for traditionally male jobs. To attract women, the U.S. government promoted the fictional character of Rosie the Riveter as the ideal woman worker. Loyal, efficient, patriotic, and pretty. Women responded to the call to work in huge numbers.
All the day long, where the rain or shine, she's a part of the assembly line. She's making history, working for victory. Rosie, the Riveter.
Women entering the workforce as a result of World War II was a watershed moment for women across America because it enabled women to take on job roles that were never available to them prior to that. And in the fire service here, we've had quite a few women now are firefighters in almost every agency that you go to across America. And I think a lot of it's a direct result of back in World War II when women were able to show that they can do the non-traditional jobs, that they could actually do the hard manual labor and jobs that weren't open to them, they were able to show that they could do that job. They faced a lot of struggles and challenges along the way, but all of that, the struggles that they overcame opened the doors for future women. And I know for me that was the case. I was the first woman that was hired here, but everything that they had gone through previously opened the door for me to get my foot into the job, and then I worked hard and overcame obstacles and struggles, and at this point now we have 3 women that are in operations online as firefighters. So obviously we're making some transitions, we're making strides, and we're getting more and more women involved in various fields that weren't open to them in the past. The thing for young women across America and anywhere in the world really is that they need to know that they can do anything they want to do. That's the bottom line. There's going to be challenges, and that's for anybody in any position in any industry. And so you have to really want that position. You've got to be willing to put in the time and the effort, and you've got to sacrifice and do the best that you can in that career, and just make it known that just because you're a woman doesn't mean that you can't do something.
Sometimes a bus is just a bus, but in 1955, Rosa Parks refused to give up her bus seat for a white passenger and turned a bus into a symbol of the civil rights movement in the United States. Until 1955, African Americans were supposed to sit in different sections in buses. The civil rights movement ended this and other forms of segregation.
The civil rights movement was, of course, a huge watershed moment, but it's broken up into individual moments. And probably the one that triggered the most social awareness in the United States was the actions of Rosa Parks. A woman using her individual power, her individuality, and her belief in what was right and what was wrong.
During the 1950s, the ideal woman was a housewife. Women were instructed to strengthen their countries and fight communism by raising good American families with good American values. The media elevated the status of domesticity to a national purpose. In contrast to women of World War II, women were told not to spend time outside of their home. They were told that they couldn't have a career and be a good wife at the same time.
This serves a national purpose? I don't get it.
Emma, what would you like to be when you grow up?
I would like to be an inventor when I grow up.
What kinds of things have you been doing to prepare yourself?
I've been working hard in school, I play sports, and I've been reading Equal Pay for Equal Work.
Really? What do you know about the last thing there?
Men and women have to be paid equally in order for it to be fair.
Did you know that we owe that to the Equal Pay Act of 1963? Before that, women were discriminated against when it came to salaries.
Well, I'm very happy that I was born a few years after 1963.
A few years?
Well, maybe more than a few.
The enactment of the Equal Pay Act of 1963 was a watershed moment in the history of women because their salaries have risen dramatically since the law was enacted. But a salary gap still exists between men and women. Let's keep fighting for our rights and fix that. Isn't it about time?
I don't know if you've noticed, but I brought a hammer.
So I see. What's it for?
Have you heard of a glass ceiling? I don't like the sound of it, and I'm going to break it.
Actually, a glass ceiling is a metaphor for invisible barriers that women face.
So it's not a real ceiling? And I brought this hammer for nothing?
Well, I would save it. You never know when you might need it. You see, women already have a hammer for breaking through glass ceilings. It was given to us through the Civil Rights Act passed in 1964 by President Lyndon B. Johnson.
Well, I'll hold on to it, just in case.
Good thinking.
In 1964, President Lyndon B. Johnson signed into law the Civil Rights Act. Title VII of this act prohibited employment discrimination based on race, sex, color, religion, and national origin. This was a watershed moment for women because even though they had worked outside the home since the beginnings of this country, it was the first time they had the legal right to do so.
Frustrated with how little things were changing for women after the Civil Rights Act of 1964, women felt that there needed to be a civil rights organization specifically focused on women's rights. The answer was the National Organization for Women, or NOW, created in 1966. Betty Friedan, the author of The Feminine Mystique, was elected its first president. NOW worked on behalf of women in the workplace to gain equal pay and better handle discrimination complaints.
The creation of NOW was a watershed moment in women's history because without its efforts, a piece of landmark legislation, Title VII of the Civil Rights Act, may never have seen the light of day. Title VII prohibits employment discrimination based on race, color, religion, sex, and national origin.
I don't believe it. Don't panic, okay? Okay. Wait, what are you looking for? I'm looking for the part in the Constitution that guarantees equal rights for women. You won't find it. Why not? It doesn't exist. That's OMG all the way. There's nothing LOL about it. Oh, I couldn't agree more.
In 1972, the Equal Rights Amendment finally passed in the Senate, nearly 50 years after it was introduced by Alice Paul in 1923, but it failed to become the 28th Amendment to our Constitution by 3 votes. It has been reintroduced in every single session of the Congress since 1982. As watershed moments in women's history go, this one has been overdue for a very long time. But we have proven over the years that we are capable of great achievements. Let's add the ERA to that list.
In 1972, Title IX of the Higher Education Act of 1965 became law. Its intent was to eliminate discrimination in higher education on the basis of sex. As we celebrate the 40th anniversary of Title IX, it is best known for its impact on high school and collegiate athletics. Skylar, you and I both play high school basketball, but did you know that if it wasn't for Title IX, we wouldn't have that right?
I didn't know that, but I can't imagine not playing high school sports. I mean, I love basketball.
I feel the same way, and that's why I think the passage of Title IX was a watershed moment in women's history. It gave women the same athletic opportunities as men.
Yeah, that's cool. And did you know that the U.S. Olympic team of 2012 had more women than men?
It most certainly did, and who could ever forget the Fab Five?
Yeah, they were amazing. It almost makes you want to try gymnastics, huh?
Yeah, almost. Let's stick to something we can handle.
Thank you, Judge Jocelyn. Order returned to the Supreme Court in 1981 when Sandra Day O'Connor became the first woman to be appointed to the Supreme Court.
Any objections?
None at all, especially since the Supreme Court is now 1/3 female.
Well then, case dismissed.
It is ironic that for nearly 200 years, the Supreme Court handed down rulings that affected every segment of our population, and it did so without a single woman justice. The appointment of Sandra Day O'Connor to the Supreme Court was a watershed moment because it finally brought a much-needed female perspective to the bench. For 24 years, she provided the decisive swing vote on decisions affecting civil rights, environmental protection, personal privacy, voting rights, and protection against discrimination.
Hot new trends, glamorous makeup, sparkly nails.
If it's a role model you're looking for, I have a suggestion for you. Have you heard of Dr. Sally Ride?
No.
In 1983, she became the first American woman in space on the Shuttle Challenger. So if you're looking for inspiration, look at the history of women. It will be like rocket fuel for your dreams.
I see what you did there.
By becoming the first American woman in space, Sally Ride opened up the minds of young women to the possibilities of careers in sciences. A powerful role model, she inspired generations of young girls to reach for the stars.
Do you think we'll ever have a woman president?
Yes. Did you know that in the past, 2 women have been vice presidential candidates?
No, I did not know that. Has there been any other women in the higher levels of government?
Yes. In 2007, Nancy Pelosi became the first female Speaker of the House of Representatives. If the vice president and the president died, she would immediately become the president.
Wouldn't it be something if one of us is the future president of the United States?
Madam President, I like the sound of that.
Has a ring, doesn't it?
Sure does.
Nancy Pelosi's election as the first woman Speaker of the House of Representatives was a watershed moment in the history of women because women finally shattered what Pelosi called the marble ceiling for women in Congress. To date, she has been the highest-ranking female politician in American history. American politics continues to be very male-dominated, and if a woman can make it here, she can succeed anywhere. Just as importantly, it shows that women can be trusted to be in powerful positions in government, which may well clear the way for the first woman president of the United States. The last stop in our 100-year journey through women's history is 2012, when Girl Scouts of USA celebrated its 100th anniversary. A watershed moment 100 years in the making as Girl Scouts quietly turned out leaders in public service, business, science, education, and the arts. And virtually every female astronaut who has flown in space got her start as a Girl Scout. We salute Girl Scouts all over the USA and the world, and say simply, you go, Girl Scout.
For the past 100 years, Girl Scouts has been and continues to be the preeminent organization for girls and women. Girl Scouts recognized early on that they needed to meet the needs of today's girls, and they've done so by providing girls opportunities and experiences that they may not have been able to have. Through the Girl Scout Research Institute, we've been able to see what trends girls want to experience and provide for them those opportunities. And I think that's why the 100th anniversary is a watershed event in the history of American girls and women.
Are we there yet?
No, not quite yet. We have amazing achievements in our past, but much remains to be done. We have a few challenges to overcome and many, many big dreams to fulfill.
Learning how to compete in a man's world. Traditionally, women were brought up to go into certain fields or be a certain way. And if you want to be in politics, for example, we need to rejigger the way we were brought up. I was brought up to kind of listen, to not be confrontational, not to be boastful or tell people how great I am all the time, right? You work hard, you expect to be recognized, to get promoted, and that's not the way it is in politics. You need to stand up for yourself, you need to be able to tell the world and take credit and fight for the credit when your credit is due. We need to be more vocal, visible, and we need to better manage our public persona. And I think those are all things that girls today, we can be anything we want. But having, traditional families, for example, that don't know how to raise young girls to be the next astronauts or the next professional soccer player or the next president of the United States is going to be a challenge. And so I think girls need to find good role models, people who can help them, teach them, bring them along. So what they're not getting, perhaps in the home life, they're getting from outside so that they can be the best that they can be and to strive to be whatever they want to be, because the sky's the limit for girls.
I think the biggest challenge facing girls today is dealing with the bombardment of media, social media, things that just distract them from following their dreams. I'm always just amazed at some of the images of girls that are in magazines or, it's I think really challenging to maintain who you are and be happy at your successes and be happy with the girl or the young woman that you are and not constantly comparing yourself to others. Bullying now is a really big issue with girls, and I think part of that stems from the fact that girls feel that they have to be something that maybe they're not. And so everyone is forced to conform or belittled if they don't. And it's a very, very difficult challenge, I think, for girls today.
I think gender equity continues to be a struggle today. This is an issue that's national and it's worldwide as well. In a country where 51% of the population is female, that representation is still not crossed over into the business world and the government.
Girls need to find a place in an ever-expanding world. I think that with social media and the internet and so many different avenues for girls to get involved in things just being broader and broader, that it's hard for girls to kind of find their niche. I also think it's rather difficult because growing up myself, I was pre-88, so I grew up where I did not have technology and smartphones and all those sorts of things. I mean, you went and used a payphone. So we were kind of growing up in a small pond. You kind of found your niche, you found what you were comfortable in, you got to safely explore things that you were interested in more of kind of a safe little bubble. And nowadays, the bubble has popped and girls are really exposed to so much more at such a younger age. And I think that that is a very big challenge because you have a lot more peer pressure, you have a lot more bullying, you have a lot more negative influences on girls, and so it's a lot harder to stay focused and to really kind of find your space and your beliefs and your values.
The biggest challenge I feel it's facing girls of all ages, and I know it's facing my children, is the lack of math, science, and technology. the girls being able to really have ready access to that. The teachers, and I know this was true when I was in school, the teachers just don't try to engage the girls as much as they do the boys. The stereotype of a woman as a stay-at-home or doesn't pursue her career as much as a man pursues his career, the stereotype is still there.
I think the biggest challenge that girls and women will have is the ability to adapt to change. The economy, the political climate, everything is changing, but more so social mores and technology are changing, and we're not keeping up with it. And so it's going to be the next generation that has to sort of take a look at some of the changes and be able to adapt. So a girl's ability to make changes and adapt quickly will certainly decide whether or not they're going to be successful.
Even though we see women in almost every career, they continue to be underrepresented in fields related to math and science. This means fewer opportunities for girls in the future.
They're growing up too quickly. So many girls are quick to let go of young childhood and move into their preteen and teen and older years and not really give themselves the chance to be young girls. I think when you grow up that quickly, you lose the sense of the flights of fancy that childhood brings, and instead the jadedness comes probably much sooner than it should.
Peer pressure, I guess, for girls that to become and to look and to act in a certain way that society or the culture or the peers think that they should act, rather than how they feel that they can behave on their own, I guess. So thinking for themselves and being okay with who they are and what they want to be, and not worrying about what others think and if it's okay.
Bullying, and with the increase of cyberbullying, it makes it even more challenging. There are so many different technologies now that girls don't even realize that when they're texting and tweeting and emailing, that things can get blown so out of proportion without them even realizing a small thing can become such a large thing, and a little misunderstanding can become a big fight. And then, as with typical girl misunderstandings, they can become a major incident, and then that can explode into a major conflict. And then with the addition of more traditional bullies, they can have girls being bullied without the typical schoolyard bullying problem. A schoolyard bully is easier to detect by adults. But with the cyberbullying and all the technology, it's even harder for adults to know what's going on unless they're monitoring the girls, as girls or any kids should be monitored. And if the girls are not willing to come forth to the parents or to another trusted adult, it can get totally out of control. The other problem is that girls don't realize that things that they put out there in cyberspace is forever. So they can say something in anger, and it's always going to be there.
Fitting in and being a part of a group and feeling like they are a strong part and comfortable with themselves.
Learning to use their individual strengths, their individual personality as their power base. They're all different, and trusting in that difference, believing in your individuality, your differences, I think will make a girl or any set of girls stronger in the future. And then learning to blend those individual talents in a team atmosphere.
Figuring out how to deal with their friends and the pressures that their friends put on them to be a certain way or to act a certain way or to dress a certain way.
The media. I think they spend a lot of time in media outlets, whether it's online or on the television, and I think that can have a damaging effect on their self-esteem and their self-image.
I think that girls have come a long ways, but many of them still lack self-confidence. They may see that they have some abilities, but they're not sure that that's appropriate to be doing, and they're not sure that they're really as good as they are being told.
I think one of the challenges for girls today is getting into fields where perhaps they were traditionally male, whether that be high-tech computer field or medical or science field or politics or the legal field. And all these fields are very challenging themselves.
I really believe that young girls should take every opportunity to intern for whatever nonprofit organizations, for elected officials, for companies, just to broaden their experience. They should take the initiative a little bit more to go out and participate in the community versus just staying home and studying and hoping that you get into a good college. I believe that relationships are very important in this day and age, and when you need help, you should be able to call people to help you. People should know who you are, what you're capable of, and I think people do want to help people if they ask for that.
We're trying to make sure that girls have all of the opportunities, really advance, get more women in legislative positions, get more women as the chairman and CEOs of Fortune 500 companies, because women bring a different perspective to the workplace and to the government. I mean, I think that we tend to be collaborative and tend to be much more not ego-driven, and so women work together, and I think we need that as a nation, as a world. People supporting each other and working together where it's not all about me, it's about how can we together make this a better place. I mean, that's part of our promise in law.
I think one of the best things girls can do is support one another when they decide to take on these roles, and believe that a female can be a leader.
Girls nowadays are growing up so much faster, and it really does matter who they surround themselves with, their parenting, who they have as role models, really telling them that it's okay to be yourself, it's okay to try new things, it's okay to fail and go out and get up on that horse and go for it some more. And I think that really to educate themselves about what's out there and to be willing to say no, to be willing to not go with what's popular, to be kind of going against the grain. I think that with that acceptance in place, it's going to be a lot easier for girls to find what matters to them.
We need to build self-confidence in the women of tomorrow. They have to come into this world feeling as though they can do things and having a strong sense of self. They have to be able to make quick decisions and feel comfortable in the decisions they make. They have to be able to take risks. They have to be able to jump onto different things that they wouldn't otherwise do.
We need to promote math and science among girls. Let's start early before they limit themselves based on what others think. This is a collective responsibility that belongs to parents and educators, as well as legislators.
I think that girls need to be taught it's okay to be little girls when they're little. It's okay to play with dolls or trucks or toys, whatever suits their fancy. It's okay to be a girl and run around and have fun, and to allow adulthood to come when it should naturally come, because it's a very long process, adulthood, and childhood really is a fleeting time in life, and we should be allowed to just enjoy it, not grow up so quickly.
I think allowing them to have experience with what possibilities that they might face and giving them the tools that they need to overcome these and to go through them in a way that allows them to be who they are, but then still be okay with what they do and how they are and how they act.
Educate themselves. I know that my daughter and other girls in our troop have been in classes and been in groups where they understand, or we try to help them understand what is out there and realize that they need to come to an adult. They need to share anytime they're feeling uncomfortable. They need to understand that something that's said to them online is just like something that's said to them to their face, and that they need to handle it appropriately and not ignore it because it happens online.
Lots of different experiences. We focus a lot on education in this country, and that is a fabulous experience, and they are being introduced to different topics, but outside activities, travel, sports, Girl Scouts, any type of activity that introduces them to different people, different experiences, will help them find their individuality and their power.
Talk to someone and not try to keep it all bottled inside and letting it fester and make them feel bad, because sometimes problems are too big to deal with on your own.
Girls need to have more opportunities to get out and interact in the world. They need to have opportunities to step away from their computers, to get involved in the community through service or quality activities that can take up some of their time.
To look outside of the traditional roles that they might be, that their parents, their grandparents may have done, and encourage leadership positions in the community.
I think girls getting involved early in their age is key. They start off with fun stuff, fun science projects, and that kind of builds into just in a more involved idea of what they want to do maybe later on. And then when they get into middle school or high school, they can take courses that pique their interest, whether it be calculus or physics or chemistry.
Really, Girl Scouting is a huge part of helping girls reach that challenge, or figure out a way that they can be happy with who they are, that they can understand their potential, understand their positives and negatives, opportunities for growth. And I think we do that. We allow girls to, in a really safe environment, figure out where their passion is, figure out what they like to do, figure out where they really excel, and to do it in an environment that is challenging but yet safe. I'm sure as a girl, there's so many different opportunities. You can be a high adventure Girl Scout and really explore all of those opportunities, or you can be more traditional with maybe doing crafts and handiwork and earning badges and stuff. So I think it really gives girls a healthy outlet, and just gives them better perspective on who they are. I know we have programs that talk about body image and eating disorders, and really work with girls on what it means to be healthy and what it means to be a happy girl, and a happy adult.
Girl Scouts provides girls the opportunity to develop the skills they need to have using the tools they already have in their tool belt. Girl Scouts allows them to showcase their skills and see the difference that they can make. The Girl Scout process is girl-led, learning by doing, and cooperative learning. And the Girl Scout Journey Leadership Program allows the girls to do experiences through those processes. And when girls go through our Journey Leadership Program, they really do define our mission of building girls of courage, confidence, and character who make the world a better place.
I think Girl Scouts plays a huge role in this, because Girl Scouts is a very safe place where girls are kind of accepted for who they are. There's so many different pathways for girls to be involved in Girl Scouts. You can come in through the camp setting, you can go in through the award setting, you can go in through a troop setting, through cookie selling, through program events. So there's just so many different avenues and places to explore kind of your interests. I also think Girl Scouts has a great solid foundation of values. I personally love that Girl Scouts doesn't dictate one way or another, but kind of offers a safe place for girls to explore their beliefs and their feelings about things. So I think that Girl Scouts is very relevant in today's world and today's society, and has a very important place in young women's lives.
Girl Scouts will be pivotal. Girls will need to find organizations and activities that are positive, that nurture self-esteem, that provide an environment that's safe, where they can stretch out, be who they are, learn new things, and learn to work within their community and make decisions and make changes in their community when they see a need. And Girl Scouts will definitely be the organization that allows girls to have these opportunities.
As an organization dedicated to the advancement of girls, Girl Scouts of the USA provides a flexible, nurturing, and non-judgmental environment that allows girls to pursue their interests, including math and science.
I think by its very nature, Girl Scouts provides a a venue for girls to be girls. You can go to camp and run around and be silly. You can be at a campfire and run around and be silly. Even in your teen years, you can still act like a girl and have fun and just allow that childhood to come naturally back to you. So I think Girl Scouts provides a real wonderful venue for girls to grow up at a more, I guess you could say, natural pace than some girls are growing up in society today. So I think Girl Scouts naturally provides a good format for proper growth and development.
I love the fact that the badges test the girls. They make them go and seek out new and different things that they wouldn't otherwise be thinking about. Girl Scouts enables the girls to explore unknown places.
I think the journeys that they have now, the new journeys, are a huge way to allow them to center the journeys around these challenges and allow them to, as a group and as a troop and as a Girl Scouts in a whole, to help them prepare and to give them the tools that they need to overcome them and help them. They can do the journeys that will allow them to go through the steps and to help each other through them as a team, as a group, rather than feeling like they are on their own.
There are journeys that help the girls become stronger. There are badges, and we just did a safety pin, the cadet safety pin, which had a portion of it about bullying, and we were able to include, when I talked to the girls about cyberbullying and technology. And there are lots of opportunities, if you take advantage of them in Girl Scout programs, that you can find the way to get that piece of information in little snippets, because it's always better to sneak it in there when they're not realizing what you're even educating them about.
At school, I think there's more of a pecking order, as in this person is the popular one, and this one is the smart one, and this one is the cute one. But when you're in Girl Scouts, you're the same. And you look out for each other, and you become a Girl Scout sister to one another.
To give them a solid foundation and a base for what they believe in, because it's easy to be pushed around when you don't know what's important to you and what are good values to have. And so by living by the Girl Scout law, that really helps. So Girl Scouts allows girls to get out in the community, to serve in their community, to interact in their community, and this helps them be more self-aware and gives them opportunities to learn to be advocates for themselves and have confidence in themselves.
I feel Girl Scouts is such a valuable asset to any girl, and it actually helps the girls because they learn more about themselves, they learn more about their friends that they are in the troop with, and it brings the focus off of who they are, because they're often helping others. And in doing so, they experience the world in a different way and aren't so stuck on, how does my hair look, or what is that person thinking about me? They're just doing, and they're just wanting to do the best and give to other people. And when that happens, that's when they discover who they really are.
One of the great things about Girl Scouts and about scouting in general, I went through Boy Scouts and got my Eagle, and through that process that gave me many leadership skills that I use today at work, in Girl Scouts, and in the community. And I think that's one of the best things about scouting. And one of the things that we should really focus on with Girl Scouts and in working with these girls is in creating confident leaders for the future.
Girl Scouts is a wonderful organization. Even at a young age, they can start with little experiments. They could take trips out into nature. They could learn about camping and canoeing, cooking, arts and crafts, sports, really anything. And I do like some of the programs that the Girl Scout councils offer. You could be a CSI agent and investigate your own crime scene. You could be an architect and create your own amazing buildings.
I started in Girl Scouts in 1977 after Michelle had bridged to juniors, and her Brownie leaders did not continue on, and so went to a parent meeting, and next thing I knew I was assistant leader, and then I became the leader. And I was also my other daughter's, her junior leader when Michelle bridged to cadets. And so I was a leader for all those years, and then I became involved with the service unit as a registrar and cookie chairman, and then I started volunteering at the council, and I also, after several years, worked at the council as the product sales manager. So, but I got really wanted my daughter to be in Girl Scouts because I wanted her to learn some outdoor skills, which I wasn't too proficient at, and so that's how I got involved. And it was, at the beginning it was a little scary, but after the second year I took 25 girls camping, and so I think with Girl Scouting I noticed that gaining skills and confidence to figure I can do that, and managing events and stuff like that has really helped. It helped me when I, started working for the Girl Scouts. So.
Well, I joined because Flyer went home, and I thought it would be really great to be a Brownie, and I had such a good time. When we moved up here, there were so many activities that I loved to go to, and it really helped to build the skills I needed to help me at work. When you do college projects, when you do projects for work, project management, Girl Scouts helps build those skills for the girls. And I feel that if I can help teach girls, that's why I decided to be a leader, help build my daughter up, to give her the confidence to be able to do what she wants to do in life. And I think that's a key part. If people really understand that it's such a good building block to build the leaders for our country and to help give the girls skills that they need to achieve their goals.
I just wanted to join Girl Scouts because I thought it would be fun to get to know other girls I haven't seen ever. And I just wanted to see how I would get to do all the badges. And when I'm in Brownies next week, before Halloween, I'm going to do a daisy party, and I'm going to be in the flag ceremony, and I'm thinking it will be very fun.
I've been in Girl Scouts since I was a daisy in kindergarten. I really like going camping and helping younger girls.
I'm a troop cookie mom. I have helped with my daughter Abby's troop since she first sold cookies, I guess, as a brownie. Always wanted, ever since I was a little girl in Girl Scouts, I knew that I wanted my daughter to be part of a Girl Scout troop. I was part of a very active troop with my mom as the leader. I started as a brownie when I was in first grade, I believe, and went all the way through, all the way up to high school. My mom plays the guitar and sings, so that was a big part of what I remember as part of my Girl Scout experience.
Yeah, first of all, I just want to say I'm very proud of Erica and Abby that they've followed into Girl Scouts like me, and I'm just extremely proud. I was a school teacher for 36 years and a Girl Scout leader for 25 years. And I'm now retired, but I'm still active in Girl Scouts. But I was 7 years old when I started Brownies. I was in the Burbank Girl Scout Council, and it's now called San Fernando Valley Girl Scout Council. I went from Brownies to seniors. We sold cookies, we sang, we went camping, field trips. I remember we took dance lessons, horseback riding lessons. We did crafts. And I went to summer camp. The friendships that were formed in those years, I still have several of those friends, especially 3 of them I'm very close to. When I was going to go into my senior year in high school, we got a phone call, and the camp that I had gone to, Camp Lakota, they were short a counselor, and they wanted to know if I'd like to do it. That was the beginning of 5 summers of Girl Scout camp counseling, which I think really changed my life. Those Girl Scout camp experiences gave me the confidence and self-esteem that I might never have gotten. So I decided at that time if I had any daughters, that I would take them all the way through.
I learned everything I know how to do in the outdoors. I learned from Girl Scouts as an adult. I've been in day camp since 1988 and I've never stopped. So every year I'm at day camp, and every year we do skills campery for older girls, cadets, seniors, and ambassadors. The world of out of doors, that we continue to give this to the young people that are so technologically focused, is the best gift that we can continue to give them. So I think getting them out of the house and into the air is the best focus Girl Scouts can give to young people. It provides independence. My daughter has gone on through Girl Scouting all the way. She as an adult came back into Girl Scouts, and so now she was at the day camp that we grew up in. She was in the administration of that, and then she took over the administration of Skills Campery, which she continues as an adult person. My favorite song is Peace of the River. Peace I ask of thee, O river, peace, peace, peace. When I learn to live serenely, cares will cease. From the hills I gather courage, vision of the day to be, strength to lead and faith to follow, all are given unto me. Peace I ask of thee, O river, peace, peace, peace.
I started working with our council's Heritage Committee, so we are the caretakers of the museums that you see here, and that's what I do now. So I'm a life member. I think Girl Scouting does for girls whatever girls want Girl Scouting to do for them, because there are so many different paths that you can take, and that's why I think that the use of the word journeys in the new program is really important. It's very much girl-directed, so that the girls decide what it is that they want to do. It shouldn't be like school. It shouldn't be where somebody is telling you this is what you have to do, and this is the path you have to take. And don't forget the outdoors. On my honor, I will try to serve God and my country, to help people at all times, and to live by the Girl Scout law.
I love the program. I think it teaches girls what I would like to have them learn. And they learn to be self-reliant and capable young women. But we took a group of girls on a caravan, camping all the way. And that was just when "This Land Is My Land" was their favorite song. And I will never forget that song, the joy it brought, because every campsite we came into, they'd start singing "This land is your land." And of course, by the time we got to our campsite, we had an audience, and the girls loved it. This is our land, let's take care of it. Let's not abuse our land.
This land is your land, this land is my land. From California to the New York Islands, from Redwood Forest to the Gulf Stream waters. This land was made for you and me.
When I grow up, I want to be a teacher.
I would actually like to own my own small business and be a small business owner.
Marine biologist. Journalist.
Pediatrician.
Marine biologist.
Nurse's aide. Archaeologist. Veterinarian. Marine biologist. Doctor.
Singer. Teacher.
Actress.
Musical theater teacher.
Veterinarian.
Teacher.
Veterinarian.
Chemical engineer.
Artists. Veterinarian.
Genetic engineer.
A doctor specializing in sports medicine.
Doctor.
President of the United States of America.
It is possible for our dreams to have wings today because over the last 100 years, girls and women have dreamt big and fought hard to make their dreams a reality. Aren't you amazed that they were able to accomplish so much without Facebook and Twitter? And no, there was no app for that. We are contributing in every major walk of life, and we should be so very proud of that. But our work isn't quite done yet. We remain underrepresented in many fields, and we still do not have the constitutional guarantee of equal rights. The next 100 years is waiting for these chapters to be written. So join me, won't you, and together we will ignite our way into history.
Can you believe that we come this far? We really are on our way to becoming, to believing, to believe in the dream dreamed 100 years ago today. Can you feel the magic in the air? It's our courage spreading everywhere. Where we live, where we play, where we meet every day, growing stronger than we ever dared. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, Girl Scouts! Ignite a dream, ignite your hope, ignite the world on fire. This love starts with a spark, a flame in your heart, until the world's burning bright. We'll ignite, G-N-I-T-E, Girl Scouts. We'll ignite, G-N-I-T-E, Girl Scouts. Now there's nothing standing in our way. Sisters moving in that flow to discovering, connecting, and creating a world. There's no limit to how far we can go. Step outside, it's a brand new day. Look around at all the changes we've made. And the world's never seen what can rise when we dream. We won't stop until it's all